Casini per Bremer, Pirlo, la conclusione errata, Andrea Pirlo, un gol pazzesco! Del Piero, Alex, palla di Pogacar, Pogba, rete, un gol incredibile, Pogba fa esplodere lo Juventus Stadium.
And we're live. I didn't realize I was unmuted, so if I was like breathing heavily or something during the video, my apologies. But ciao tifosi bianconeri, hello and welcome to episode 344 of the Turin Giants podcast. We are live on YouTube. Thank you to those who are here. We're coming to you about 15 minutes after the final whistle blew in Emiliano Romagna, where Juve delivered a statement, a poker, a 4-1 win away at Parma. A real complete performance overall, aside from the now pretty much guaranteed blackout moment that we get from Cambiasso every match. This was an absolute critical 3 points to put pressure on Roma, who play, I think, away at Udinese tomorrow. We have a brutal February looming ahead of us. So 3 points was really the only acceptable result tonight. And the added goals certainly helps with the bonus of adding some to our goal differential. Big nights from Bremer, Jonathan David, our midfield. A lot to unpack here. And I am joined by Frederic, who is wearing a wonderful t-shirt, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. And we welcome Patrick back. We haven't had Patrick here in a while. Patrick, good to have you back. Gentlemen, how are you both?
Much better after this one. I'm actually looking forward to the grueling schedule. I think that's what makes or break a team. And if you want to prove that you're the team to beat or you belong, you gotta succeed, and it'll be exciting to watch.
Well, I'm going into the less than 24 hours. I think 21 hours of Calcio Mercato. So it's going to be a hectic one. It's going to be a hectic one. I can tell you that right now. So, yeah, of course, the win did help. And the way we achieved that win, which we'll discuss shortly, was also a sight to behold.
It certainly was. Before we get into it, just a few quick notes on our podcast setup here. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. If you are a repeat listener or viewer, thank you for coming back and spending some time with our crew. You can find us on YouTube at Turin Giants Official, and of course on Spotify and Apple Podcasts in audio format. You can follow us on Instagram and at Turin Giants and at the Scoop Juve for transfer Mercato insights specifically. And you can also check us out on turingiants.com for some really cool merch that Frederic is modeling for us today. Our Belgian bald model.
Yeah. We don't have scoop mugs yet, but we have some awesome t-shirts. So as Beppe said last Thursday, get your merch and you'll enjoy it. There's some pretty cool designs there, and by doing so, you help us out in financing everything that we got going on around here, apart from our wages, which we don't get, as we already stated on the scoop. Yeah, it would be nice to see some people with our merch running in around in Turin or the rest of the world. So go ahead and grab it while it's still hot.
And if you're listening in audio format only, Frederic is donning a beautiful t-shirt with Ronaldo il Fenomeno with his his hand in his palm. Any day is a good day to celebrate the Cinque Maggio, and a good celebration we have today. So we typically in our post games, we start with some initial reactions. We kind of unpack the starting lineup, go through first and second half and the goals, finish with man of the match. And usually by the time we're wrapping up, Spalletti's post-match comments are shared for us to review as well. But given what Frederic said earlier about just how the January Mercato's wrapping up, we'll make sure to save a little bit of time at the end for any additional insight that he has. I hope everyone caught the latest drop of the scoop yesterday, and some of that is still very valid, and I'm sure some of it is outdated given how quickly the Mercato flies. But before we get there, let's just start with your initial reactions from this match. Patrick, given that you're joining us for the first time in a while, just what are you left with? What's kind of the most pervasive sentiment from what we just saw?
I'm going to summarize by sharing what the commentary I heard said on Paramount, on the stream on Paramount. The person commentating said that he got to watch and do a lot of games for the beginning of the season with Tudor, and he said there's just night and day difference. The team is so much more composed, so much more compact, so much more purposeful. And I think this is, again, being Parma aside, there is a lot of directness to the play. There was a let's keep going attitude. And I don't care who you're playing. That's something that needs to keep going. Of course, different styles are going to appear game in and game out. But this, to me, was the way that it gets your blood pumping as a fan, where 2 goals isn't enough, 3 goals isn't enough, 4 goals isn't enough. I know the 5th was called offsides, but as a fan, objectively, that's what I want to watch, is a team that just continues to go for it no matter what the score is. And you could see the players enjoyed playing that way too, which is really exciting. So that's what I'm left with, just a very different style over the last really a number of weeks now that we've been seeing, and I hope that continues.
Give Spalletti the keys to Continassa and everything around that. That's all I have to say. It's astounding what an impact this man has and still has. Sorry. And McKennie was just now on the zone stating that Spalletti is the best coach I ever had in my whole career. If you have a coach who can transmit this kind of energy, these kind of results, and give that vibe off to players, that the first thing that they want to do is thank their coach and say how glad they are with having him as a coach. With the material that he has, it's tremendous. I know we keep talking about, especially negatively, about Comoli, Openda, whatever you want, but we seem to be forgetting the fact that Luciano Spalletti made this team 40% stronger than they were, or they were performing. And just because of that, I think Spalletti is our best transfer of the season. And it only, begs the question, what if he started in late
Right.
July, beginning of August, which is something we'll never know, but I'm pretty sure that we're gonna find out in August 26th. So I'm very looking forward to that, and I think a lot of people are already planning the next season, even though this one is far from done. But just looking forward to how Spalletti can shape, mold, get players into shape, and get maybe some of the players that he feels that are very impactful on the way that he plays. And yeah, I mean, this is Spalletti through and through, and I'm so glad that I was for once right in my assessment about him. So yeah.
Well, maybe we actually we start there for a moment. And I think anytime you're making an assessment of a manager, whether they're new or they've been with the squad for quite some time, you want to see them elevate players. You want to see them make players better. It was something that for all that, for example, Allegri has brought to Juventus over his time in both stints, he had obviously a much better and more cohesive and complete team during his 5 Serie A titles and 2 Champions League finals, compared to what we have now, especially during his second stint. There was criticism around he's not making players better. What we saw Rabiot maybe grow a bit, but other than that, you did not see players really kind of punch above their weight class or see material improvement in areas of their game. And Justin, I should know off the top of my head, but I don't. How many games have we played with Spalletti? 15, more or less,
Around
in
the
all
20 mark, I
competitions?
think. Yeah.
Okay, maybe
Should be
okay, so
around
maybe
20.
higher than that. I mean, we've seen McKennie. I'm not going to call him world class, but he's playing incredibly well. Having scored at least 5 or 6 goals now. We're getting goals from our midfield. You see Locatelli getting credit where credit is due and leading categories across statistics, not just within Serie A, but across continental Europe. Turin is starting to liven up. You see Kelly just become a consistent performer in the back. I mean, Patrick, when you look at the elevated play of players, who else sticks out in your mind?
Recently, Jonathan David. We clamored as podcast people, but also fans, just waiting for, that floodgate to open up, and it seems like he's getting it. I know there was that spat in the dressing room where the players don't love him or they're not including him and all that sort of stuff. With a mature coach giving a good run of games now with Dusan being sidelines, I just feel like he's getting it. So he's an obvious one. And the other one is Kalulu. I must be said that Kalulu is playing like a right winger in games like this. It's just incredible how stylistically he fits the team. And you can see, we'll probably talk about, the essence of the game here, but Kalulu finding himself in pockets that just make him dangerous in every single attack, it seems like. So among the other players that you mentioned, of course, McKennie is a big one, and he is the first one to always give credit to Spalletti. But I loved the way Jonathan David's playing. I love the way Kalulu shows himself in every minute this season. It seems like he's been playing. So those were just a couple others that stand out for me.
For me, it has to be, before I go ahead, because I saw a couple of people asking in the chat where I got this t-shirt. You can find it at turingiants.com, along with other cool t-shirts that we have. So thanks for that. But I would say Kelly, and I know it sounds like a broken record, but I recently seen some games from Kelly under Tudor where he was better than he was last season, even though that's not much of an effort that he has to do to get that. But I think that if you see him under Spalletti, it's night and day difference in terms of timing, in terms of anticipation, in terms of man-to-man marking, in terms of confidence, in terms of quick, solid, fluent possession and handling the ball or giving the ball forward to the midfielders. Unbelievable. It's like, and a friend of mine texted that to me. It's like we have 2 Bremers all of a sudden. And I completely concur. And this is just one of the things that Spalletti did, as you guys mentioned. We have Kalulu, we have McKennie, we have Jonathan David, but we also have the players that you're used to them playing well, as in a Bremer. But even though that Bremer has a lot of difficulties after his injury and his surgery, I still feel that Bremer has done a lot better than I expected him to do. So, all credits to them, but all credits to Spalletti as well for bringing this out of them and working miracles. Let's just keep it at that, because if we would have pulled out these numbers from a crystal ball last October, prior to Spalletti coming in, I think nobody would have imagined that it would be going this well, especially how we play, not just the results, because the results are awesome. Bear a couple of obnoxious ones like the Monaco draw, but apart from that, the way we play, the dominance, the aggression, the confidence, the fluidity, it's night and day difference. And I, for one, thought that this team was set up to be doomed this season. and Spalletti turned the tide. So credits to him, credits to the team, and I think everybody is at least 10% better than they were. So
To your point, the in the past, the Monaco game was the reality, right? So you're talking about the Monaco game being a dud under the recent form. That was the consistency that Juve was playing at in seasons past. So I'll take those games as duds. They end up being draws. You're bound to get those, meaningful, meaningless game. I'll let the fans decide what that Monaco game may or may not have been, but the fact that the consistency and the expectation is just a step or two higher than what it has been, I'll take the Monaco game as being the dud instead of the norm.
I think the only bad game, the only truly bad game I think we've played under him was away at Napoli, when he, I think, got into his own head and tried to be like too cute, too creative with, and there's probably a ton of pressure that he had on himself going back to that stadium. And that was just a poor match. I think even you look at the Lecce match, we had every opportunity to win that. Like, we played progressive attacking football, maybe not quite as many shots on target, but that came more down to individual quality just not clicking that night. The same thing happened away at Cagliari, right? Like, we did dominate that match. We could not put the ball in the back of the net with the 37 corner kicks we had and 287 crosses, and our just inability to finish off plays. We have a defensive lapse on that free kick where that I forget who scored the goal for them, never should have been open to take that shot. That game was a fluke. But in these games where we did not get the result, we're still playing decent football. The Monaco match, you have half of our starting 11 not there. You're coming off of the high of the Napoli match. And I think Zach said it well in that post game. There is that thing in sports where there's just the highs and the lows, and like the emotional energy and the mental energy that goes into some of these performing matches. It's usually common to see a bit of a grounding performance in following games across all sports. So that one didn't surprise me, but I think our buddy in the chat here, Del Piero 109, pointed out that it has been 16 games, 12 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Is that true? Two draws? Did I see that right? Because we had a string of 3 draws there. So that might not be.
I'm not too sure. I'm not the man of statistics. We could have used Zach on this evening, but he's out enjoying some family time. So shout out to Zach, who I also saw in the chat.
Said.
But overall, the if you look at the grander scheme of things, that we can all agree that this has been very successful thus far. And I think the Napoli game just came a bit too early because Spalletti didn't know the team as well. Tried to execute some cute thing, but he didn't know the team as well, didn't know how they would respond, and it was a bit of a shambles. But these things can happen. At least he tried, and the Monaco game, that was for me a clear sign of Spalletti saying, these are the players I have to play with if no reinforcements come to management. I think that was more so his part, alongside with having players stand up and take their chance, which didn't happen. So that also explains why Openda was brought in late today. So overall, I'm very happy with Spalletti, with the team, but we still need some reinforcements because February is going to be huge. And I just feel there's always something missing. Like when I saw Yildiz asking for that sub today, I was like, okay, what are we going to do? And eventually we pulled it off, but we were 2-0 ahead at halftime. What happens if something like this should happen in the first moments of a very critical game? So I don't know. We'll see. We still have 20 hours left, so to speak. So we'll get into that later on.
Let's see what happens. We definitely will. Starting 11. I think at this point, that what we saw today is probably our best 11, unless you want to challenge Cambiasso for Cabal. But even I still don't think Cabal has what it takes to be the starting left-sided defender in the Juve shirt. But man, Cambiasso has been a very frustrating player this season. I don't know if I'm ready to like just go into that quite yet, but is there much to say on the starting 11?
No, this is our typical starting team. I thought we made that clear about 3 weeks ago when we saw the team um, taking shape, so to speak. So this is the team we're doing with, and yeah, my only issues is not Cabal, but Cambiaso and Chico. So we'll get into Cambiaso first, and I'll let you rant, Kevin, because I know that somewhere deep down there's a rant waiting to happen now. So just go ahead.
There is. We'll save that one for a little bit later. But let's dive into the first half. And just before we do, thank you for those who are here in YouTube. We've got Juve fan for life. We have Bobby Boss. We have Large Boo. We have Osama is the Sham. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. Mitch D93, Alex Boston, Skyline 1 at Ziru. We have a number of other folks here as I'm scrolling. We had Del Piero, Large Boo. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you spending time. All right, so first half, I thought it was a pretty bright start for us leading up to Bremer's corner kick goal, which felt like the first goal scored off of a corner in the last 19 years. But Patrick, tuning into this match, just how would you characterize kind of the first quarter of an hour or so?
There was desire to put the pressure on, and that's the way I want Juventus to keep playing. It's very nice to, I think in the group chat we talked that it's actually rather nice to not feature Yildiz so frequently in the build-up, that there's alternative ways to actually manufacture chances, and you can see that. I know we were ripping on Chico a little bit. There is one tactical thing that Chico does by keeping the field very, very wide. It allows for McKennie, it allows for Kalulu to fill that channel, which happened a number of times. So I know we're talking about the corner kick goal a little bit, but the positioning that Kalulu had on the cross to McKennie, right? He fills that channel simply because, Chico keeps his man really, really wide. So while maybe he's a bit frustrating as a player, there is a tactical reason why he's in there. And in that regard, he did succeed. He actually had a rather good game, I thought, despite the couple of chances that went missing, or that was a brilliant first save, by the way, where Chico could have easily scored that. Nevertheless, it just, going back to my earlier point, it's nice to manufacture chances sans Yildiz when he's hurt, when he doesn't have, his A game, which isn't often, of course, but I like the fact that there's balance now. I think that's the big word that I find myself saying under Spalletti is balance, and it's nice having balance in ways we can attack in different ways.
For me, Chico's very wasteful, and I always look at it. Maybe that's part of my thing of looking at things, because I'm so intertwined with Mercato and everything, that I usually evaluate the player also based on his cost. And maybe that's wrong, and maybe that's completely irrelevant. But if you look at what Chico cost us and what he's doing today, and he was brought in to give those assists, score those clinical goals, he's just not doing that. And I was really upset with him in the first half because, in all fairness, if you have a guy like Icardi, and I'm just naming a random name out there, that's somebody who would have scored both those chances without hesitation. And that's something we need right now, because today everything went our way. We had Parma giving up already after the first half. But in those difficult games where you maybe get 2-3 chances, you'll have to at least bag one of them. And I think this is our biggest flaw, and that's not down to Spalletti. That's down to the quality of the players that we have right now, being the fact that, our wingers and our strikers are a bit too inconsistent. So, with hindsight, and it's always easy in hindsight, but I think we overpaid and we overvalued Chico because he played in such a weak team last year, and it was very easy for him to stand out. Now that everything is a lot more balanced, I feel that Chico has a lot more difficulty of getting his head above water and making a difference. But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
So feel free
I
to
agree with
scold
you,
me.
Frederic. I think he's a player who I think I've used the word like polarizing many times, right? Because every once in a while he has this cracker of a match, and then you get 3 or 4 games of just inconsistency and not the phrase you've used multiple times, right? Tutto fumo, niente arrosto, right? It's just all smoke, no roast, right? There's no finished product. I will say, just as a non Chico fan, if what we got out of him today is what we were to get out of him more often, where he does put in a good corner, he gets the assist, he hits the crossbar, he was contributing. Like, this was a better than average performance for him. And if we get more of these, I will be more happy moving forward, even though there is you do get waste from him. And that yellow that he picked up right there in that moment when there were other defenders still between him and the goal, that was stupid. And he risked a red the way that he fell down. He did.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I just feel he should bag those goals. Like, I feel like
I agree.
it's unfortunate, of course. I mean, the first one,
This wasn't the worst of his performances. That's all I'm
no,
trying
no,
to say.
no,
Like, he
no,
contributed to this
no.
match.
Yeah,
Frustrating player, but there was still an impact on this game.
I also feel that Spalletti, even though I know that Spalletti likes him as a player, I also feel that Spalletti, in that terms, is a bit fed up with him in the sense that he only gives him X amount of minutes. So I feel that Spalletti also feels that, his inconsistency has nothing to do with the minutes he's playing or the minutes that he's lacking in order to be more consistent. I think it's just a certain limitation of him. And I think you can use Chico in both ways. You can either put him in as a starter, but 60th minute mark, you have to sub him off, or you let him come in around the 60th minute mark or the 50th minute mark to make that difference. I just don't feel that this is a player you can leave on the pitch for 90 minutes and expect him to give a good performance overall. And I think that's my main gripe with Chico.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Moving forward, we get Bremer's goal again. The first one scored in 37 years for Juve off of a corner kick, again from the Chico assist. Bremer's first of 2 goals on the evening. Don't know if there's much to say there, except it was great to see some aerial prowess. And let's hope that we can get more of those moving forward. Really love to see more corner goals from both Bremer and Kelly. But we continue with a good period of play, and then we have the McKennie tackle, which went to VAR review. Thank goodness there wasn't some crazy Juve bias that had that turned into a red. But then we had a dip in play from there, right? Parma got a bit more confidence. And then our second goal, I think, came at the perfect time. Patrick, I know you're a big Weston McKennie fan. So why don't you kind of take us through the build up to that goal?
I mentioned a little before, right, where Chico keeps the field wide, and there was clear intent today to have Kalulu, to have McKennie really find space in those channels. You can just see, even in the second half, Kelly played a number of long through balls, to runners, David to runners, McKennie, things like that. So there was clear indication from Spalletti, there must have been, to keep the field wide, to allow for channel runners. And that's kind of what happened with Kalulu, I mentioned earlier, where he played that beautiful cross. That only happens when you get some instruction from the coach to play more direct. And this team, of course, does that. It was a really nicely weighted cross. I don't know how Kalulu doesn't rank on like the highest kilometers run. When they show that graphic every game, I'm not sure why he's not on that list, because he seems to cover a lot of space. But really nice finish. It comes after Spalletti during the week said McKennie could be a striker and you get a striker's type finish. Maybe it wasn't quite a scissors kick, right, Frederic, but still a really nice finish from a midfielder. It reminds me back when Conte was the coach and you had midfielders scoring goals, right? This is the type of Juventus you want to watch, where goals can come from any player, midfielders, defenders ×2, and then then a striker scoring goals. So it was really impressive. Love a team goal where a corner kick goal is nice, Kevin, and it hasn't happened since probably Bremer a few years ago. But you like scoring a team goal where everybody's involved and there's build up, and it's a beautiful play.
Yeah, just really nice play all around, and it's nice seeing the contribution coming up from the midfield. Locatelli's I think obviously Weston's finish was fantastic. Kalulu had a nice pinpoint cross, but for me, what was critical on that was Locatelli's vision, his pass to David, and David's touch to find Kalulu at pace. That was a thing of beauty, wasn't it, Frederic?
It is. And that's why I've been applauding Locatelli for a couple of weeks now. For the people that don't believe me, you can rewatch the episodes. I actually did, because this was my criticism with Locatelli in the past, that he didn't play forward enough without that vision, without that drive, too slow, too complacent. And now he executes his role perfectly and plays the ball forward vertically, very efficient, with a lot of vision, with clear determination and a great view on the overall side of attacking things. And this leads to dangerous situations. And this is what I expect from a player like Locatelli, with all the qualities that he possesses. And I'm very happy that he's proven me wrong and that he's putting in these types of effort, because like it or not, these are the things that make a difference on the pitch and on game day. So, I have to applaud Locatelli once again, not just for that beautiful pass, but his whole performance this game already. And of course, David as well, because I feel we're leaving him a bit out of it. But David has had a stellar performance, 7-goal average in 8 games. And apart from the goals, he's proven to be very useful with being that forward line pivot, with holding the ball up, with combining with other players, with also handing out assists and finding the free player in attacking movement. So, also this
David now has 9 goal contributions in Serie A so far. And most of that has come in just the last previous weeks, right? So we're seeing a different player with some more confidence.
But it's so obvious he fits this style. He can hold up a ball. It's not a lead foot. That's step one, and he does that so much better. It's the small things that really just make him much better.
And a tipping point here for me was after his missed penalty, where I was the first to scold him, and I think a lot of people were, but Spalletti kept the faith, gave him a starting position back, also spoke openly about that in media, defending him. And I think this was for him a tipping and turning point, and gave him more confidence than he had in the past, and warrants these kind of performances. So I'm very happy that Spalletti, as the good manager that he is, decided to intervene and work on David psychologically, and also balance the team more to the needs of David and vice versa. This is doing wonders for us, and you could see it in real life at the Napoli game as well, Kevin. You can rectify me on that if I was wrong, but I think that you could see David being more into Juventus's play and into the squad and into the team, whereas before he looked like an isolated object, an inanimate object outside of the whole Juve happening, whereas now he's just one with the team. So yeah.
Johnny Il Calabrese has started to make his mark here, right? And I think we owe it to Spalletti. If it were down somehow to the Juve community and its fans for what would have happened to David after the penalty miss against Lecce, we would not be seeing the David that we're witnessing right now. Every single Juve fan would have, not every, a bit of hyperbole, but most were calling for his head and to be benched and not step foot on the field again. And then, of course, we see the nice turnaround performance against Sassuolo, because Spalletti is experienced to know that in that moment, if you punish him, for the lack of a better word, by benching him in the next match, what does that do to his confidence? What does that do to his growth? And you have to show faith. And that was kindly rewarded. And now you see a player who there was speculation that he was kind of not included in the team. He was an outsider. He's an introvert. He doesn't fit in. And Spalletti should have a master class on pre and post match commentary. We all know what he had said about putting Parmigiano Reggiano on spaghetti alla vongole and how he made a joke of it. But now you see David being a part of that foursome of McKennie, Kalulu, Thuram, and David with the goal celebrations. They had another one today, right? Like there's this inclusion, there's this confidence, and I don't think David is entering the match with this pressure that he has to do something to earn his right on the pitch, but rather he's focused on the orchestration of the team and contributing. And I think when you're in that mindset, the results come. And that was something nice, really nice to see.
Yeah. Also, if I might add, see a lot of people in chat asking about Di Gregori's performance. So I'm just gonna get into
Here
that.
we go.
I think it was a very good performance, but I stand by my point that for me, in my personal opinion, he's not the best goalkeeper or the goalkeeper we deserve as Juventus. I think he's a good goalkeeper if he's in his day. If he's not, then he's mediocre. And this is my opinion, of course. This is not Turin Giants' opinion or whoever. But I think he did his job today. He did what he was paid for. Very good reflexes, but I've also seen him do a lot worse. But arguably, also Di Gregorio under Spalletti has improved. These are just facts, and I still stand by my statement that he doesn't give me this comforting feeling when he has to come outside of or off his line or needs to pick up a higher ball. But in all fairness, he's grown a lot under Spalletti, and I just still don't think, that's my opinion, that he's the goalkeeper that we need or that he could be. So we'll see. But today was a fair performance. He did what he had to do. Kudos to him. A lot of growth there. I hope he can continue this way. So yeah. Sorry to hijack.
Can I add one more thing on Jonathan David? I mean, we're getting to the point now where, I mean, I honestly don't care what happens to Dusan Vlahovic. Like, when was the last time that somebody said his name? Like, look, going into the future, a future without that sort of number 9 that we've had for the last few years, I don't feel worried about what the future holds not having Vlahovic on the team. So we're getting to that point, and I think you said it best, Kevin, that he's more of an orchestrator, and that didn't seem to be cup of tea, right? He wanted to be the one bagging the goals, where, let's face it, Jonathan David over the course of his career has gotten a number of goals, but also a number of assists, and he just builds up a lot better. So I want, in this style of team, I want more of an orchestrator and someone who realizes he doesn't have to score the goals to be effective and keep playing that way.
Yeah, I mean, even without his goal, which we'll talk on probably not too long from now, it was still a really good match from him. It was a really good performance despite him being on or not on the score sheet. However, I mean, we have a future without Dusan. I think that much is very clear. However, a striker with his profile is the reason, like, we're us lacking a striker of his profile is the reason we're going on this carousel of Mateta and Nezri, Colomuani, Icardi, and so on, and the crazy Benzema rumors today as well. Because you look at a match like Cagliari, where we had no less than 1,000 crosses in that game. someone with that profile would have been useful on that rain-soaked pitch. So I like how David's playing. I think the team looks good with him, but we're still missing a Vlahovic-esque profile on this team, not Dusan specifically. You guys mind if we move into the second half? Anything else in the first half you wanted to touch on?
Not at all. Nope.
Well, actually, going into the second half, we see Miretti come in for Yildiz. Frederic, you had messaged our Turin Giants crew with, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes left in the first half that Yildiz had asked for a sub. But we did see him sprinting. We did see him shooting. I didn't see any notable limping. Do you have any insight or just intuition that that's maybe just a bit of fatigue? And
it's a mix of fatigue. I don't think it's anything serious, but I wouldn't count on him for Thursday. I think he's gonna get some rest, and he needs to get some rest. I think
he needs to get some rest.
He won't play. He won't play on Thursday. No,
which is good.
If we can,
it was a tough opponent for us, but
if we can recuperate him for the Inter game, that would be awesome. And I think that's the whole thing right there, that they don't want to risk him for the Inter game, because the Inter game is way too important for us.
It definitely is. So coming into the second half, which I think this was the second time all season in Serie A that we went into halftime more than one goal up. We had the Cremonese match and then this one. And then thinking we would continue to build upon this. And then, Patrick, what happened from everybody's favorite left wing back?
I'm not even sure I can put this into words. His cute little weak-footed, right? You've heard so many years that Cambiasso doesn't have a weak foot. You know, he's great on both sides of the pitch. He tries to get cute with a little flick to clear, not knowing that he's standing like 2 meters in front of the center of the goal, and I don't know what was going through his head. I know the chat is just raging on Cambiasso as being the only person who is declined under Spalletti. And
I agree with chat.
You sure? But I can't even. Let's be honest. It was happening under Tudor in the beginning of the season anyway. But I cannot fathom why a person thought to flick the ball from 2 meters in front of the center of the goal face to try to clear it. I don't know what he was thinking. So perhaps he's trying to sabotage. I mean, insert conspiracies chat, but I have no idea. It's good that Juventus scored 5 goals today, but unfortunately one of them was for the other team.
He's not smart enough to sabotage. There's no conspiracy theory here. He's not smart enough for that.
My God. Sure. So if anybody else can explain it better, have at it.
I don't think even Cambiasso can explain. This is one Cambiasso moment that happens far too often. And I think in terms of football intelligence, Cambiasso is not on the gifted side and is not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so to speak. I really think he lacks football intelligence. I really think that there's something wrong with him in terms of football intelligence, because I really believe that he has the talent, but he does these unexplainable things that make no sense, that just, have no source of or no basis of a reasoning to even exist. So that's his biggest limitation, and his biggest limitation is always hampering us as a team. So in my opinion, if you look at the pros and the cons that Cambiasso has to offer, well, I think, you should be lucky that you get your starting position due to a lack of alternatives, because if we had a better alternative, I'm pretty sure that Spalletti would field that alternative. So even though, in his defense, he has been played out a lot of the times more as a defensive midfielder or as a defensive wing back, which is not his position, but that doesn't explain the things that he does. 2 meters from the
No,
goal.
it doesn't. And like Mitch's comment here in the chat, I never talked to Cambiasso, so I don't know if he is smart or not. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize anybody's real mental capability, but we're talking about football intelligence here.
Yeah.
And it's just the amount of mistakes that we can come up with off the top of our head without having to think too hard around what we saw today. The back pass that you never play a square ball across the center of defense with pressing players that led to an immediate goal. You look at him throwing in the ball to the other team without a Juve player in sight. You look at mistakes that he made early in the Napoli match, losing the ball when the team is on the break, when he could have coughed it up or passed it out earlier. It's just, we can keep going with this. It's just game after game after game. There are consistent mistakes that somebody who has been playing the game his entire life should not be making. It's not a one-off here and there. It's every single match.
I want to quote one of my old coaches. He said, professional football players have the ability to think 2 steps ahead of what's going to happen, but the really good players think 5 steps ahead of what's going to happen. So that's just Cambiasso somewhere in between, even though he thinks that he's in the top level. And that makes you do things that you're either not capable of doing, as he so eloquently demonstrated with that own goal, or you just, get these moments where you short circuit because your mind is thinking, I'm going to do this, but your body isn't capable of performing said action. And then it all just, intervenes with each other. But, it's just a shame to witness that, this progression that we see in a lot of players isn't passed on to Cambiasso for some reason. So in my opinion, either Cambiasso in the 7 months that he played really well was a one-off, and he's hit his ceiling now in terms of consistency. So and Juve fan for life here is quoting Cambiasso Maldini, what that his agent is calling him. And that was true. His agent in an interview said, I think he could be on level with Paolo Maldini. If your agent is talking like that,
I
and
do
you
think
do
a
not
lot of that was
buy
taken
him,
out of context, though. I think he was trying to talk about that he's got a good left and right foot, that he is versatile. I mean, Maldini was able to play in the center. He was able to play on the left. An awful name to use in comparison, but I think that gets taken out of context a lot.
but I know.
At this point, Deschilio could play on the left and the right too.
I just know that Cambiasso is somebody, and I'm not having a go at Cambiasso, but Cambiasso is somebody who feels that he has made it, that he is one of the best players in Europe. That's his own image that he has of himself, and he's entitled to feel that way. And I think confidence for a professional football player is sometimes, of most of the times, of added value. But you could see that something is off with him, and
Yeah.
I do feel that if we have a decent alternative, that could, give us more options, and so, especially in terms of midfield. So we'll see.
Well, the last thing I'll say on this, because I don't want us to continue down this rant, because I think we could probably fill the next 15 minutes on this topic, but we won't. The only thing I'll say is, if he was on the offensive side of the pitch and he was given that ball 10 more times, he never would have been able to finish it the way that he put it in the back of the net there. But moving forward, with going to 2-1, it had the potential to turn potentially the other way. But thankfully, the third goal came at the perfect time to reestablish the 2-goal lead. Patrick, do you want to take us through that one?
Another good example of Juve trying to win some aerial duels today. I know that ball was crossed in, I believe, by Locatelli to the back post, and Bremer was the one who first got his head to it. And then, as we saw, he was the one to actually finish the play. I was a bit shocked, Kevin. You said the goal came at the exact right time. I'm not sure quite why the players didn't celebrate, because it's very nice to go up 2 goals versus the 1 goal. So I thought it was needed to give a little boost. But I'm not quite sure why the team didn't celebrate. It didn't look like there was any offsides. So does Bremer get a concussion on that play? Like, did he forget to celebrate? But no, it's going back to the first goal. It's nice to have an aerial presence consistently again. I know Gatti provided a little bit when he was on his run of form the last couple of seasons, but you just feel like with Bremer in there, things can happen. And you saw it twice today. I'm not really sure what more to be said other than those are just effort plays, right? Positioning and effort. And we have the guy that is good on both of them. So I'm proud that Bremer showed up on the defensive and offensive end with those two goals. I thought it maybe would have went to David, but deservedly so to Bremer.
Yeah, nothing to add there. Like, Bremer is of added value offensively, defensively, and he continues to put that on, even though that you can see at some point that he still isn't quite to the supreme level that we saw him play at 2.5 years ago, or 2 years ago, sorry, year and a half ago.
Yeah,
But that's normal given the injuries that he's had, and I think he can only get better, and he's a beast already. And the pairing with him and Kelly is doing wonders for us as well. So I'm very happy with him back.
There was always concerns with Bremer playing in a back 4, right? Remember, that was the big thing. He came from Torino playing in a back 3, and there was issue to see if he could develop playing into a back 4. Even at not his best, Frederic, I have little concerns, if any concerns, for the way he can adapt and just lead the line. I think there's a lot of balance now. Kelly's a quicker defender who kind of provides a lot more, shall we say, comfort with pace compared to Gatti next to him, right? That left-footed player is nice too. So I have no concerns with Bremer consistently playing in a back 4.
Yeah, no, he's shown that it's working quite fine. David almost had his goal on it's really hard to tell from the different angles whether that was going in or not, but Bremer had the finish for sure. But David's goal ended up coming, I think, 63rd, 64th minute. We have Chico with a nice run on the outside, kind of this cross shot. Keeper parries it right into David, who calmly tucks it away, which kind of finishes off a really nice overall performance for him on the day. Anything either of you want to add to that goal? Just David had it coming, and I was happy to see him put that away.
I think it was a keeper error as well. It wasn't the best of goalkeeping, but it's one of these games that the things just go your way. And I was really happy that David was very proactively following the shot, because a lot of strikers, Vlahovic, tend to just give up and stand still when they see another person or another teammate shoot on target. So I was very happy to see him get rewarded, because we were talking about that in chat as well, that he was having a great game and that he'd only get man of the match if he would have scored, and he did. I don't know if he got man of the match because I had to rush to my computer to get up here with you guys, but for me, this warrants man of the match, is overall performance, and it's good to see him putting that cherry on top.
Well, we'll hold on to the man of the match discussions. We'll get to that shortly. So if we round out the rest of the second half, I mean, it was nice to see the team continue to press. We thought the 5th goal did come. Unfortunately, Openda's it looked like a part of his toe was offside in the.
Was that Openda or
image.
Jonathan David? They looked the same from the back with the hairstyle.
Oh, I did. Yes. We were making some comments that Openda needed to change his hair to look more like David, and maybe the goal scoring would come. We thought it had, but obviously we know at this point that it was just not to be for him. Most notably, I think on the subs, we didn't see Openda come on until quite late. We saw no introduction of Coop Miners. But before we get to Spalletti's comments and our selection of man of the match, anything else that you'd want to add on how the match wrapped up? Overall positive play, even though the fifth goal never came.
I just want to. Can I do some transfer thing right now because a text just got in and I
Yeah.
don't know if
Okay. So do because we're hitting the hour mark. So we'll do Frederic in his transfer news. We will get to Spalletti's comments and we will pick our man of the match and we will round it out.
And now,
For
Freddy
obvious.
Scoops with the scoop. He's the best in the business, see?
Shout out to Polo for going to change that tune for me. Dan, I really hope you can do me a solid here and get something new for me because this is nerve wracking. I just wanted to say because for obvious reasons I couldn't text my source during the game. 1 + 1 still equals 2. But I just had some back and forth with him. That's why you guys might have seen me, being a bit distracted. But what he basically said is we're very sure that a number 9 will arrive very, very, very soon. So we have a number 9 coming in. I saw some people retweeting or copy pasting some of the chats from other journalists, some more than others. But he said a number 9 will arrive soon. And that was also the text sent to Spalletti in terms of management inside. Don't worry, we got you. A number 9 will arrive. From what I can tell is that they're still working on Colo. There were some accelerations with Icardi, but Spalletti posed the veto prior to him or us.
And that came out
Oh,
in his I'm looking at his post match comments and he
oh, okay.
essentially said Juve don't want Icardi, even though he had
Mm,
nice things to say about him.
yeah, so Spalletti posed his veto this afternoon prior to arriving at the stadium. So I don't think that's gonna happen. I see a bunch of names in chat. I don't know which one is which. All I can say is my source just confirmed there will be a number 9 to thank Spalletti to help him. And I'm pretty sure I might be wrong here, but I've been in the game for a while now. Uh, Nothing else makes sense to me apart from Colomwani in this point. If you look at the players we brought in, those are all players like a home. Forgot the other guy's name, but these are all players with Serie A experience. And I think this is what Juventus is aiming for in this window. Players they can insert directly. We don't have to adapt or adjust. Colomwani fits the bill perfectly. I know they've been trying very, very passionately to get him back. So I see the name of Solot, I think, popping up, which seems very strange to me because he's a starter for Atletico. I'm not sure they'll let him move on a loan. So I think, and this is my opinion, it will
Well,
be.
they just signed Lookman.
Yeah, but he's not really the same type of player. I think they
No,
look
I know.
forward to having Sorlot playing alongside Lokman or Lokman more on the wing. But who knows? Anything can happen. But if my source says the number 9 will arrive, then the number 9 will arrive. If it's Colomwani, it remains to be seen. But somebody will arrive. And this is just to help Spalletti and to thank him, sort of a way. That's also a follow-up message that
Amazing.
he sent. It's to help Spalletti, give him the support he needs with the little means that we have right now, which is, and I wanted to emphasize it, a strategical choice. This is not like Komoli counting pennies on his desk. No, we have a strategy, we have a vision, and we're holding on to that because we are aiming for the summer where we can really inject players with that can inject quality into this team, and this is what we're aiming for. So I think
I
that's
tuned
that-
in
that's all I
to
have to say.
Tottenham Man City for a few minutes this afternoon. So Colomwani started the match on the kind of right wing,
Yep.
and his body language could not look more disinterested about being out there. Just committing fouls and jogging around. So I don't know. It'll just be interesting. I mean, he's a human, and I'm sure this is very aware of what's going on, and I think very clear where he wants to be. Frederic, are we expecting any other moves? This is
I
kind of the
think-
last piece of the puzzle.
No, I think if it's not Kolo, then it's gonna be Sorlot. In my opinion, not because of because I saw that name popping up, but this is the typical player that Spalletti wants. Even though it seems a bit strange to me because Atletico will have to give him on loan because there's no way we're gonna purchase him outright. But if my 2 cents are on Colomwani and or Sorlot, and it is
Okay.
from Atletico, which for me, the identity kit that Spalletti puts together in terms of the number 9 that he wants, he fits the bill. I don't see Icardi or anyone else of the rumored names, Benzema, fitting that bill. But Atletico will have to, be open to give him on loan, potentially with an option or another.
Apparently, he had a pretty massive head trauma.
Yeah, he was taken off. He had some head injury. Yep.
Yeah. But
this
he's
week, so
he's all good now. He has some stitchings, I thought, and whatever. So I'd say definitely don't count on Icardi, don't count on Benzema, Sorlot or Kolo, with Kolo being the
well,
priority.
we will see. It'll be a pretty crazy less than 20 hours, I think, at this point before the Mercato closes on Monday, February 2nd. Depending on when you may or may not be listening to this, you may already know what's happening. But at this current point in time, at the time of recording, we are unclear. So let's get quickly to Spalletti's post-match comments. Every game is a step for us to learn. It is never definitive. It is a process that keeps going. In any case, I told them that they shouldn't compliment me, but instead praise their teammates. This is in response that after the match, Bremer and McKennie had some really nice choice words for Spalletti. And Frederic, I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
This group has the potential to be a great team, thanks also to that unity and enjoyment they have in training and in a match situation. They combine enthusiasm with determination, no matter what you ask of them. So just it's good words. He mentions a few things about certain players. He does mention that Yildiz told us during the first half he felt a bit of pain, but he could continue playing, but just to come off at half. We probably will not use him on Thursday, as we already discussed, and then goes on to talk about how he keeps getting asked about Icardi and Osimhen. He speaks highly of them, but they're not going to be Juve players. All right, guys. Man of the match, and traditionally,
I have a very big testicles.
So the big testicles man of the match. We have a number of candidates for this one. We have David's performance that we talked about. We have Locatelli bossing the midfield. We have Bremer with 2 goals. We have Kalulu, who surpassed 2,000 Serie A minutes so far in this match. Still with playing every single possible minute of this season, and we just entered the month of February, which is crazy to me. Can't pick the same player. And Patrick, since you are joining us for the first time in a while, we'll let you have the honors of going first. Who's your man of the match?
Yeah, quickly, I think I know who you guys will pick, so I'll make it easier for you to pick them.
No,
I'm gonna
Don't do it. Don't
Make
have
it harder
integrity
on us.
on your
No.
choice.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I'm gonna go with Weston McKennie. I think the goal was crucial in that it just kept putting the pressure on against Parma. We saw it was needed, right, because of the debacle that we talked about with Cambiasso. He continues to be a focal point. We talked that he was playing like right back for a while in the second half before moving back into the midfield. You can see he became a much more like target player in the second half when Yildiz was out and when Jonathan David got subbed off. So I think this team really, really looks for him, not only in build-up, but also in the defensive end for him to cover in spaces when the team shifts formations and shifts sides of the field. He does a good job covering for everybody. So I love that he's always near the top of the kilometers run. It just proves to me that he's really putting his full efforts into this team. And when a player like that runs that much and he still finds it within him to get goal contributions, I love those efforts. And so for me, I'm going Wes McKennie today, not just because he's my American amigo, but because he deserved it and he's playing really, really great.
Yeah, he did have a nice match, and that was his 6th goal of the season, I believe.
It is nice to have multiple people
all
to
under
choose, though, right,
under
Kevin?
Spalletti. Absolutely. And Frederic, over to you.
Well, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna make it easy for you too, Kev, because you know I love you and things like that. But I'm gonna pick Bremer, not because of the 2 goals. Well, they had to do something with my decision, but also the fact that Bremer is improving his timing in the sense that he knows when to come up, he knows when to be offensively present, and his timing is very, very good on that. And that's something that bothered me a bit with Bremer coming back, that his timing seemed to be a bit off. I think I referred to that in one of our post games as well. And I also mentioned that I think that it was because of the not having the regularity of playing for a long time. And this was my main gripe with him coming back from such an awful injury. And to see that he has made amends with that, and that he can time and can pick his moments, and is very puts out some output offensively as well, for me is a huge plus. So it's not just the goals, it's the way they came about and the timing that he chose to be dangerous, because if it could have hit the post, or keeper could have saved it, or whatever, but he was present, and he was present offensively, defensively. And for me, that was a sight for sore eyes, because that's the Bremer I remember pre-injury, and he showed a lot of glimpses of that today. So I'm very happy that we can officially welcome Gleison back to the Gleison from 2 years ago. So for me, was a no-brainer. But Kev, I'm sure you're gonna pick somebody else because you have to. So go right ahead.
Yeah, my goodness. I mean, there's so many in this game. Sorry, guys. Just got a personal message here, so got distracted. I'm going with Bremer. 2 goals.
But you can't. You have to pick somebody else, or have the rules changed.
Okay. Well, then it's going to be David. It's going to be David with his goal, his consistent build-up performance and play, the confidence that he's showing. He's now very close to double-digit goal contributions on the season. Just this is the David I think we're here to see. This is the aforementioned Iceman that we were kind of promised coming into the season. This is Johnny El Calabrese stepping up here. So this was great to see. And even if we get to Colomwani or someone else joining the team, I hope that does not knock his confidence and he continues to demonstrate his performance. I think there's very ample room for him to continue starting or even play in a 2-striker system with the ability to have some just technical and tactical options. as the year progresses. But it's interesting, right? So you look at some other websites and who they put forward. SofaScore has McKennie. No, I'm sorry. They had Locatelli as their highest rated player. Locatelli with 90% passing, bossing the midfield, over 130 touches in that match. That's pretty impressive. Thought Mob has Bremer. Football Italia also had Bremer. But again, solid performances from many different folks. Anything else to add to this match? And Frederic, it looks like you might be frozen. I don't know if you can still hear us.
I can. I don't know if you guys can still hear me.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Yeah,
Either
okay.
that was just like a perfect like statue mode, or you were just frozen for a bit there.
No, I have some WhatsApp messages coming in, but my phone
Yeah.
decided to kick myself out for some reason. So I opened WhatsApp on my computer. So maybe that's the reason why I was lagging. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and apologies for me in the
No,
moment
no, no,
there.
no, no.
I had some texts coming in from family that I got distracted by. But we're also seeing a number of comments in our YouTube chat here about Digre, and yes, he had some nice saves today. I think in other matches from some Digre performances that we have been used to, maybe the score line would have been different, but he did his job today.
Yep.
Gentlemen, any that we actually one thing. Inter's Ultras throwing a pyrotechnic flare, firework, whatever it was, at a player who was on their squad when they got their supposed second star, which we all know is still only their 19th Scudetto. But how ridiculous is that? I'd like to end on a Merda note, because who doesn't love that? A T-shirt
that's all you need to
Frederic has
know.
done.
Right.
No, I think, and this is a general thing that I feel is pretty flawed in Serie A, is that it's always looked upon, who had that incident, which team was it? Oh, it was Juve. Let's go ahead with the punishment, and that's the same metric that UEFA applied to us. I feel like if you do something wrong, whether it be Juventus, whether it be Inter, whether it be Parma, Udinese, San Benedettese, I don't care. Give them the same punishment and just draw the line there, regardless. Because I feel that it's two different measurement types that are being applied, and I just don't think it's fair. And whether it be Inter or Milan or whoever, if something goes haywire, then they need to be punished. And if it was the same with us, I expected us to be punished as well, but with the same measurements that another team would be punished. And this is what goes wrong. And I'm sick and tired of having, to fight against everything and everybody every week, because I feel that even though we did do some things wrong, I wouldn't say wrong, but we made some mistakes as well. And it's cool to be punished, for doing something that isn't right within regulations.
If their Curva
whatever.
Nord isn't banned for at least a couple of matches minimally, then nothing matters anymore. Because if that came from our Curva Sud onto a player, we'd be playing behind closed doors for like the rest of the season.
We would be demoted and having a fine such overwhelming that we couldn't even afford a transfer target in the summer. So I mean, these two different types of measurements need to stop. And I hope that Lega Serie A will take a moment to reflect upon that, and will not just look at who's doing what, but just at what happened, and that they start dishing out these fines in an objective manner instead of always targeting the same teams, because at some point it has to stop. And since we don't have a management that likes to speak up, I'll do this on behalf of Juventus FC. keep the punishments in a straight line. Do whatever you need to do, but don't look at the team names or where they come from or what they do or their positions in the standing. Keep a straight line, draw that line in the sand, and stick to it.
Yeah. And if the listeners or those watching now don't know what we're talking about, just go watch the Cremonese Inter highlights, and you'll see what we're referring to. So always nice to end on an Inter Merda note, especially after a 4-1 victory. We have the Coppa Italia match coming up on Thursday. So we will be with you then. Very busy February ahead of us. Patrick, Frederic, it was a pleasure as always. Any final message from either of you?
Forza Juve, Inter Merda. I don't think Patrick can hear us anymore. I think Patrick signed off.
I think his Patrick, you there, buddy? All right. I think the internet isn't
I'm having
working.
some issues technically, guys. So yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, we will end it there. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. A like, a subscribe, a 5-star rating. Those things mean the world to us. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve.
Con i contagini per Bremer,